His hands reached out underneath the blanket. We had tried so hard to keep our distance, but as the weather grew colder, we couldn't help but move closer, until finally, we found each other in the night. Who could have known that would be the night I realized that I was in love with my stepbrother? I was 10 years old when my dad remarried another woman who had a son named Dan from her previous marriage. She seemed nice enough, but I could never get along with her son. Hell, I never even referred to Dan as my stepbrother. He was just another person who lived in the house. We would barely speak, and when we did, we fought like crazy. Even though I knew it wasn't fair, I couldn't help but feel like his mom had taken away my dad from my mom, so I never forgave him for that. It wasn't until I got my driver's license that we started properly talking. My dad had asked Dan to help me out with the car in the garage. It was the first time I couldn't help but notice the way his hair framed his face, and whenever he looked straight at me, I would blush like crazy. I didn't understand this feeling at all, except all I knew was that the hatred I once held for my stepbrother was now replaced with a deep longing. Susie! Sue! Help! I'm stuck! I snapped out of my trance when I realized that his foot had gotten stuck on the car. Oh no! Here, give me your hand. We quickly yanked his foot out, but before I could even say another word, he pulled me close to him. I couldn't help but freeze. My heart felt like it was going to burst out of my chest. We stood there for what felt like hours when he slowly reached down and caressed my neck, causing my breath to hitch. I didn't know what came over me when I reached up for my stepbrother's lips. He quickly turned his face and backed away from me. Sue, don't, he said before walking back into the house, leaving me standing in the garage alone. What did I just do? I was so worried Dan would tell my dad or my stepmom that I had just tried to kiss him. What would they think of me? What does he think of me? But as I walked in, no one said anything. So I quietly went into my room and tried to calm myself down. Later that night, I gathered the courage to talk to my stepbrother. I needed to make sure we were okay because I couldn't bear the thought that I had just ruined our family. But before I could even say a word, he asked me to sit down and said, Susie, what happened really caught me off guard because honestly, I thought you hated me. I wasn't ready. I am so sorry, Dan. He then placed his hand on mine while I stared at him when he reached down and cupped my face, pulling me in for a hug. I wanted nothing more than to kiss him at that moment, but I didn't want to make a fool out of myself for the second time. After that night, our relationship went kinda dormant for a month. We would often steal looks from across the dinner table, but Dan would always make sure we were never alone together, and he spent a lot of time with his friends. I mean, we were step-siblings for God's sake. I knew we could never act on how much we wanted each other. Still, I couldn't help but feel hurt from his distance. So I had no choice but to try and get rid of my feelings. And I was able to almost push them away until our yearly winter trip to Korea to see my dad's family. My grandmother's house was a lot smaller than our house in the US, so my stepbrother and I were forced to share a room together. I tried to hide how nervous I was, but I could feel the blood rising in my cheeks. How would I survive a whole night alone with Dan? I thought my feelings were finally gone, but they had only grown stronger. That night, I'd laid there, trying to calm my nerves. I could feel Dan's soft breath next to me. I wondered what he was thinking about, and if he ever thought about me. But the silence kept getting stronger, until finally, I felt Dan get up and move right next to me. Without saying a word, he caressed my cheek. I couldn't help myself and pulled him to me. We finally had some privacy and were able to express how we felt. Dan, I love you. I love you so much. I know this is wrong, but I can't stop how I feel. Please, before I could say another word, Dan kissed me passionately. It was utter bliss. We explored each other for hours, and I never wanted this night to end. Until I locked eyes with my dad standing in the doorway. What are you guys doing? Stop! Stop! Dan and I jumped apart so fast. How long had he been standing there for? My dad didn't say another word, but instead slammed the door. My heart was beating so loudly in my chest. We were so lost in each other that we didn't even hear my dad open the door. I knew one of the worst conversations in my life would take place soon. I looked at Dan, who was as white as paper. What were we going to do? What would our parents think? I couldn't even imagine what they were going to say, but I knew it was going to be bad. We nervously walked downstairs to where our parents were sitting, waiting for us. Dad, Stop. Both of you, sit down. How long has this been going on? I know this is unconventional and how disappointed you must be in me, but I'm in love with Susie, and I have been for a long time. I know we are step-siblings, but I've never seen her that way. Please understand. And you, Susie? Why would you do this to us? I love him, Dad. I love him more than I have ever loved anyone in my life. I've tried everything to stop how I am feeling, but I can't. Susie, can you and Dan please leave us alone for a moment? I need to speak with your father. After my stepmom said that, Dan and I left the room. I could feel my heart in my stomach, and the fear was building in me. It felt like a lifetime waiting in the front door, and just as the fear was about to eat me up, Dan's hand reached out and softly touched mine. Susie, no matter what happens, know that I truly love you. Choking back on my tears, I whispered back, I love you too, more than anything. But before we could say anything else, my stepmom opened the door and pulled Dan in for a hug. She then turned to me and said that if we truly loved each other more than anything in this world, then we'd done nothing wrong, and there was no need to worry. Our parents would support our love no matter what, because even if they didn't like the idea of us being together, in the end, they wanted nothing more than for us to be happy. So, thanks to our parents' support, we've been together for over 10 years, and now with twins on the way, I can truly say that we are just as in love with each other as we were in the beginning. Dan and I may have started off as step-siblings, but we were destined to become soulmates. The most important lesson I've learned from this experience is that you cannot stop who you love no matter what society says or thinks, because in the end, love will always win.